Let's talk about England as well, Tony, because back page of the Sun today, Gareth deal offer until 2024. We'll get stuck into this later, but it looks like he is going to be offered another contract despite what happens in the next stages of the Euros.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I'm not the biggest fan. I think international football is tournament by tournament. I don't see why you give new 4-year deals, because international football can change. You know, if England get beaten by, in my opinion, a very average German team, you know, I'm reading in the papers today, it's a 50-50 game by many, and I'm like, really? How's that 50-50 when England playing at Wembley against a very average German team? I certainly see England as the favourites and shouldn't fear anything, apart from, I would say, a terrible performance by Portugal against Germany. Yes, Germany punished them, but Germany haven't particularly been very good. And they've got out of jail in their group. You know, the 2-2 draw against Hungary, they got out of jail. Yeah. They really did. And England, this is not a 50-50 game. England are, for me, firm favourites.
In terms of the performances we've seen from England, you know, 1-0 wins and then a draw against Scotland, of course. Are you happy enough with that performance? Is that fine, or do you want to see more?
I do think there's a big difference between group matches. It's a bit like qualification. It's a given. And, you know, you talked about Gareth's contract. I'm sure we'll touch on that later. Is that qualification is a given for England for tournaments, because if you don't make that grade, you're not going to be kept in a job as an England manager. And the group phases, really, you know, look at the biggest nations. It's like the Champions League groups. All the big teams qualify, bar the odd one. If you're the odd one, you're going to lose your job. Now, England have qualified quite comfortably without conceding a goal. Haven't particularly got going, but I'm sure there's more to come from them.
I hope so. I really hope so. I think with the squad that is there, and, you know, through the week we've had a lot of backlash against Southgate. You know, fans starting to turn against him slightly. Spoke to Faker Others in the week, our England correspondent. We'll speak to her at 8 o'clock, and she was really unhappy, you know, about the backlash that Gareth had received after the Scotland game. You know, it's like, well, he didn't get beat. Give him a break. We're still here.
Well, Scotland paid a price, and we chatted off air on this, didn't we, Shaban? And Scotland paid a price because everything, all their endeavour that they put in against England, and it was fantastic. You know, desire to stop England, make it hard and make a real game of it, was fantastic. But you paid a price because against Croatia, Grant Hanley coming off injured. You know, he was one player that you sorely missed after he went off in midweek. Obviously, Gilmore was COVID, found positive. But you paid a price. You played well enough against Croatia to get a result, but you were punished by, I think, he's a very good team. I think, don't underestimate, you know, Croatia were a good side.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, they were in the final of the
side.
World Cup. I mean, I know we're saying it's you know, they're an aging team now, but not with the wizard Luka Modric running around the midfield. I mean, we were in right trouble with him at times, and obviously the score matched. I mean, where we went wrong, I felt, was missing out in that first game against the Czech Republic. You know, we were kind of doomed from the start. But you made a good point there about being tired. You know, everything went into that England game, and then by Tuesday,
sometimes you pay a price in sport where you put so much in. The next game, whether it's 2, 3, 4 days later, you're not quite as sharp and you get punished.